While breaking ground on a new site in the heart of the city, a construction crew unearthed an unexpected relic buried deep beneath the surface. An ancient, rusted safe, its origins a mystery. Intrigued and eager, they pried it open, expecting perhaps old coins or long-forgotten documents. However, the safe contents were neither gold nor papers, but something so profoundly touching that it moved the hardened crew to tears. The workers knew that something like this had to be treasured. Mark was quick to gather himself and run to his supervisor. Not only had he seen these mesmerizing contents, but also help judge what they were going to do with this. This could surely mean something. However, when he finally got his boss, his face suddenly paled as he turned to Mark to say something in a tone that made Mark feel concerned. "We need to call the police," Mark's supervisor said, shock evident on his face. Mark felt confusion go over his features, but complied nonetheless. Seeing his supervisor pat his pockets for a phone, he quickly grabbed his own. As he gave it to his supervisor, he saw relief before the man dialed 911. His voice was dire as he spoke to the respondent, but Mark couldn't understand why. Though he didn't know why, he now knew that his boss had probably seen something incredibly concerning that he and the rest of the crew had missed. However, that raised a lot of questions. Why had his supervisor responded that way? Why did he feel the need to call the police? And most importantly, why had they found this here, in the heart of the city? Getting the construction contract has been no easy task. Every construction company had wanted it, yet Mark's company had been the one to get it. Even luckier, his team had been the ones deployed to handle it. It was a rare opportunity that Mark and his team gladly took on. They would be under the wing of Jared as their supervisor, and the team had been eager to start. Their construction site would be in the heart of the city, and they had the opportunity to build something magnificent. Mark quickly started to understand why his boss had so desperately wanted the contract. The building they would make would become a significant landmark for many to see. It was the perfect business card. However, they had no clue that it would end very differently from their original expectations. They had been working hard, digging out what had been previously there. This city had history, and they found strange things by digging out the foundations of an older building. Things that could have been buried for decades, maybe even centuries. Then, their excavator suddenly hit something hard. The loud sound had startled the crew. Had they hit a pipe? Whatever it was, they knew that it couldn't be good. The crew gathered around as a few started to see what the excavator had hit. Jared quickly returned to the blueprints and maps to ensure they hadn't hit something important. He feared having calculated something wrong. However, as the few that started to see what was started to get the remaining dirt atop it off of it, they noticed something strange. It almost looked like a box, a large metallic box. Using their tools, they measured its size and made a joint effort with the help of the excavator and other tools to get the thing out and move it to flat land. They had to see what strange thing they had found, but as the excavator placed it on the ground and made it turn over in doing so, they all saw the front of the box. They immediately knew what they had found. It was a safe. It was old and a bit rusted, but a safe nonetheless. The letters on the front had faded, giving no clue what contents it could hold, but every crew member there recognized the iconic wheel they had often seen in movies before. "How do we open it?" one of Mark's colleagues asked. Though, should they open it? The group seemed to be split. Should they inform someone or have a quick peek inside? "I am quite eager to look inside. What if it has some old coins or like historic papers? Would be cool to see firsthand." Another colleague said, and others seemed to agree. One of them grabbed some welding tools and started to try and open the probably rusted stuck door. It was giving way after some use, but the construction crew could never have guessed that the actual contents of the safe would move them to tears. As the safe broke open and the crew gathered around, a gasp was heard. The door could now be opened, and when it did, shock washed over the group, followed by heartfelt tears. For this to be underneath the city's nose the whole time, and for them to be the first to see, had moved them. However, as Mark looked around, he saw that his supervisor still wasn't there. Mark knew that Jared probably would know what to do with this finding. "I'll get Jared," he said to the colleague closest to him, before jogging off in the opposite direction. Knowing Jared, he was probably still sifting through the multiple files to see what pipeline we could have hit. Nobody had informed the man that they had hit a century-old safe instead. "Jared!" Mark exclaimed when he saw him. "It wasn't a pipeline. It was a safe, and you really gotta see this." Jared seemed to frown upon hearing those words, and an alarm entered his eyes. "What do you mean? Where's the safe?" he asked, putting down the papers. Mark just pointed behind him over toward where the men had gathered. Jared nearly dashed toward it, needing to see what was inside. It confused Mark, who had seen the safe's contents. Why had Jared been so alarmed at the revelation of it being safe? Did he know something he and the others didn't? When Jared and Mark arrived, instead of seeing tears in his supervisor's eyes, he saw shock and alarm cloud them. Jared turned to Mark while patting his pockets. "We need to call the police." Hearing the severity in Jared's voice, Mark handed him his phone. Jared was quick to dial 911, but Mark couldn't understand why. What had Jared seen that he and the rest of the crew hadn't? Jared was pacing back and forth while talking to the respondent on the phone. Mark could only catch parts of his conversation, but hearing him, he knew it couldn't be good. Maybe it would have been better if they had kept the ratchet thing shut. Yet Mark didn't understand Jared's behavior. However, as the police made their way over to the site, Mark would soon understand. The wail of sirens cut through the morning air as police vehicles converged on the construction site. Officers swiftly disembarked, cordoning off the area with yellow tape. Mark watched a mix of curiosity and apprehension in his eyes as the site transformed into a scene straight out of a crime drama. The crew, tools in hand, stood back, their day's work abruptly halted by this unforeseen intrusion. As the police approached the unearthed safe, the crew craned their necks for a better view. The rusted metal box, now the center of attention, was carefully inspected by the officers. One of them, wearing gloves, gingerly lifted out items covered in dust and time. Medals, old photographs, and faded letters. The crew huddled together and watched in silence, a sense of reverence growing among them. Whispers broke out among the crew as they recognized the military insignia on the medals. Several members, veterans themselves, exchanged knowing looks. Their eyes reflected a cocktail of emotions: pride, sorrow, and deep respect. For them, these were not just relics. They were reminders of sacrifices made, of comrades and family members who had served. The air was heavy with unspoken stories and memories. Amidst the crew's emotional stir, Jared stood apart, his expression unreadable. His eyes, fixed on the safe, flickered with something that looked like recognition, then quickly veiled by a frown. Mark noticed Jared's clenched jaw and the way his hands balled into fists at his sides. It was clear that the safe's contents meant something different, something more personal, to Jared. The police, recognizing the potential historical value of the find, began documenting everything meticulously. They photographed the safe, its location, and each item it contained. Carefully, they placed each piece of memorabilia into evidence bags, labeling them with precision. The site, now a blend of past and present, had become a silent witness to a story that was slowly unfolding piece by piece. The crew huddled together, their conversation a low murmur against the backdrop of police activity. "Why's Jared acting so strange?" one worker muttered, casting a glance toward their supervisor. "And why are the cops so interested in an old safe?" Another chimed in. The questions hung in the air, unanswered, as they all grappled with the unexpected turn of events that had disrupted their routine day. Speculation swirled among the crew like dust stirred by their halted machinery. "Maybe it's treasure," one joked half-heartedly, trying to lighten the mood. "Or secret documents," another suggested, his tone more serious. The theories ranged from plausible to wildly imaginative, each member adding their own twist, but all were tinged with a sense of wonder and an undercurrent of unease about Jared's reaction. As they shared their theories, the conversation shifted to more personal reflections. "My granddad served in the war," one crew member said softly, his eyes lingering on the police carefully cataloging the memorabilia. Others joined in, sharing stories of family members who had served, each tale adding a layer of personal connection to the items unearthed from the safe. The mood was somber, yet filled with a sense of pride. "Never thought we'd find something like this here," one worker remarked, looking over the site now bustling with police and historians. "We were just supposed to lay a foundation, and now this." His voice trailed off as he and his colleagues pondered the day's unexpected events. The discovery had transformed their ordinary construction site into the center of a historical puzzle, leaving them all in a state of surprise and curiosity. The crew watched as the police continued their meticulous work, each member lost in their own thoughts. "What's next?" someone asked, voicing the collective uncertainty. They all knew their day's work was on hold, but for how long? And what would the investigation reveal about the safe and its contents? They waited, hoping for answers that would shed light on the mystery and on Jared's unsettling behavior. One by one, the crew members were called aside by the police. Questions were asked. How did you find the safe? What did you see inside? Each worker recounted their part in the discovery, their voices a mix of excitement and uncertainty. Mark watched as his colleagues returned, their expressions a blend of relief and curiosity, each interview adding another piece to the growing puzzle. The arrival of the historians brought a new wave of activity. They moved with an air of urgency, their eyes lighting up as they examined the safe and its contents. Their discussions were a flurry of historical references and excited hypotheses. The crew watched, fascinated by the passion these experts brought to what had been just another day at a construction site. Together, the police and historians began piecing together the story of the safe. Each item was carefully examined, and its context and significance were debated. Mark and his colleagues listened, captivated by the unfolding narrative. The safe was no longer just a rusty box. It was a gateway to a past that had been silently waiting beneath their feet. The crew found themselves drawn into the investigation, offering insights on where and how the safe was found. They shared observations about the site's history and the day's events. Their hands, so used to the physical labor of construction, now helped to unearth a different kind of foundation, one made of memories and history. As the day wore on, the mystery only deepened. Each revelation about the safe's contents seemed to lead to more questions. The crew's initial excitement gave way to a profound sense of intrigue. What stories did these items hold? And why were they buried here? The site, once just a plot of land, had become a tapestry of historical secrets waiting to be unraveled. The once quiet construction site was now buzzing with the presence of media. News vans lined the street, and reporters with microphones and cameras in hand swarmed the area. They set up their equipment, eager to capture the story of the mysterious safe. The crew, unaccustomed to such attention, watched warily as their workday turned into a news spectacle. Word of the discovery had spread quickly, igniting the curiosity of the local community. People gathered at the edges of the police tape, craning their necks for a glimpse of the safe. Conversations buzzed with theories and questions about the safe's origins and contents. The construction site, once just another part of the city's landscape, had become a focal point of intrigue. The crew members found themselves thrust into the limelight. Reporters approached them with questions, seeking first-hand accounts of the discovery. Some crew members shied away from the attention, while others shared their experiences, their voices tinged with a mix of pride and bewilderment. The day's work had taken a back seat to the unfolding drama of the safe and its secrets. The media and public speculation about the safe escalated rapidly. Rumors and theories were broadcasted, ranging from hidden treasures to secret government documents. The crew listened to these wild speculations, amused and sometimes bewildered by the fantastical stories being spun around their discovery. The safe had become a catalyst for imagination and conjecture, its true story still buried in mystery. The construction site had transformed into a hub of activity, drawing the attention of locals and media alike. Cameras clicked and reporters did live broadcasts, capturing every development. The crew, caught in the whirlwind, continued to work amidst the frenzy, their mundane tasks now part of a narrative that had captured the city's imagination. The safe, silent, and enigmatic, lay at the heart of it all. The investigation into the safe's contents progressed methodically. Historians and police worked in tandem, meticulously analyzing each item. Documents were scrutinized, and artifacts were carefully examined. The crew watched from a distance, their daily routines now interspersed with glimpses of the ongoing research. The atmosphere was one of focused determination, as every clue was pursued in the quest to unravel the safe's history. As the investigation continued, initial findings began to hint at a connection to a notable historical event. Whispers among the historians suggested excitement over a potential breakthrough. The crew, catching bits and pieces of these conversations, felt a growing sense of anticipation. The safe, once just an obstruction in the ground, was now a key to a possibly significant historical narrative. Despite the growing interest and speculation, the investigators maintained a strict level of confidentiality. Details of the findings were closely guarded, with only vague hints escaping the tight circle of the investigation team. This secrecy only fueled more curiosity among the crew and the onlooking public, each eager to know the true story behind the mysterious safe. Mark's curiosity about the safe's history grew with each passing day. He found himself spending more time near the investigators, trying to catch snippets of their discussions. His fascination led him to start his own informal research, poring over local history books and online archives in his spare time. The mystery of the safe had sparked a newfound interest in history within him. The investigation began to suggest that the contents of the safe held significant historical value. The crew overheard excited discussions among the historians about the potential implications of their findings. This revelation added a layer of reverence to the way the crew viewed the safe. It was no longer just a relic. It was a portal to a past that held important stories waiting to be told. Driven by a blend of curiosity and determination, Mark embarked on his own investigation into the safe's history. He spent his evenings researching and diving into online archives and historical databases. Each piece of information he uncovered fueled his desire to learn more. Mark's quest was no longer just about the safe. It was about connecting with a past that had suddenly become very present. Mark's search led him to the local library, where he delved into old texts and dusty archives. He discovered intriguing historical documents, some of which hinted at events and stories long forgotten by the city. Each book and manuscript he read opened new avenues of thought, and the library became a treasure trove of information, aiding him in his quest to understand the safe's origins. As Mark continued his research, he began to piece together potential historical connections. He mapped out events, dates, and figures, trying to find a link to the safe and its contents. His work area was strewn with notes and photocopies, each a small part of the larger puzzle he was attempting to solve. The more he discovered, the more engrossed he became in the mystery. Mark's investigation evolved into more than just a quest for knowledge. It became a personal journey, intertwining with his own life and interests. He found himself discussing his findings with friends and family, his enthusiasm infectious. The safe's story, once a mere curiosity, had become a significant part of his life, driving him to uncover the truth hidden in history. Mark's journey into the city's history deepened with each passing day. He became engrossed in the stories of the past, seeing the city through a new lens. His connection to the safe and its contents grew stronger, as did his resolve to uncover the full story. The mystery of the safe had opened a door to a past that Mark was now fully immersed in exploring. The construction site buzzed with confusion as Jared's unexpected absence became apparent. His usual spot, overseeing the work, remained empty. The crew exchanged glances and shrugged shoulders, their concern growing. Jared had always been a constant presence, his sudden disappearance out of character and alarming. Questions arose, but answers were scarce, deepening the mystery surrounding him. As hours turned into days, the crew's worry for Jared intensified. Conversations often circled back to his well-being and erratic behavior prior to his disappearance. They recalled his last days on the site, his anxious glances, and hushed phone calls. The crew, usually focused on their tasks, now found themselves distracted, concerned for their supervisor and the unresolved situation. Unanswered mysteries. Jared's potential knowledge about the safe and its contents remained a puzzle that no one could solve. His reactions had been starkly different from the rest of the crew, hinting at a deeper connection or understanding. The crew speculated in hushed tones, wondering if Jared knew more than he had let on. But with his absence, these questions hung in the air, unanswered. The atmosphere on the construction site grew increasingly tense. Jared's absence and the ongoing investigation into the safe cast a shadow over the crew's daily routines. Work continued, but the usual camaraderie was tinged with unease. The crew members felt the weight of the unsolved mystery, each day bringing more uncertainty than the last. Speculation about Jared's connection to the safe intensified among the crew. Rumors spread like wildfire, each more elaborate than the last. Some suggested he had known about the safe all along, others whispered about a personal connection to its contents. The lack of concrete information only fueled these theories, turning Jared into a central yet absent figure in the unfolding drama. The construction site, once a hive of activity, stood eerily quiet. The ongoing investigation into the mysterious safe had brought work to a standstill. Machinery lay idle, and the unfinished structures cast long shadows in the afternoon sun. The crew, accustomed to the daily rhythm of labor, found themselves adrift in this unexpected pause, their tools and skills rendered momentarily redundant. With the delay in construction, tensions among the crew members began to rise. The uncertainty of the situation, compounded by Jared's absence, left a palpable unease in the air. Conversations often veered towards frustration over the halted progress and the lack of clear information. The crew, united in their work, now found themselves divided in their opinions and concerns. Speculation about Jared's knowledge of the safe and his subsequent reaction continued to be a topic of intense discussion among the crew. Theories ranged from Jared having prior knowledge of the safe's existence to him recognizing something in its contents. The lack of answers only served to deepen the mystery, making Jared an enigmatic figure in the eyes of his team. As the investigation into the safe's contents progressed, Anticipation grew among the crew and the wider community. Everyone awaited the results with bated breath, hoping for some revelation that would make sense of the strange events. The crew, especially, longed for answers that might explain Jared's reaction and bring clarity to the situation. Hints and clues began to emerge from the investigation, suggesting that a major revelation was imminent. Whispers among the crew turned to eager speculation, each new piece of information fueling their curiosity. The sense of an approaching resolution was palpable, with many feeling that they were on the cusp of understanding the full story behind the mysterious safe and its contents. The investigation finally revealed a direct link between the safe's contents and a controversial historical event. This revelation sent ripples through the crew and the community as they realized the significance of their find. The items in the safe were not just relics. They were silent witnesses to a past that had long been buried under layers of history and hearsay. In a moment laden with emotion, Jared disclosed a long-held family secret. His ancestors had been wrongfully implicated in the historical controversy connected to the safe's contents. This revelation cast Jared's earlier reactions in a new light, explaining his shock and the urgency with which he had approached the situation. The crew listened in stunned silence, understanding the personal stakes involved for Jared. The contents of the safe provided irrefutable evidence that exonerated Jared's family. Documents and personal items, long hidden away, told a story very different from the one history had recorded. This discovery was not just a vindication for Jared's family. It was a correction of the historical record, a truth finally brought to light after years of unspoken accusation. Jared shared with the crew the profound impact the historical accusation had on his family. Generations had lived under the shadow of this injustice, and the discovery in the safe felt like a lifting of that burden. The crew, who had initially been mere bystanders to history, now found themselves part of a story of redemption and resolution. The community reacted with astonishment to the revelation about Jared's family history. The story of the safe and its contents, once a local curiosity, took on a new dimension as it intertwined with the narrative of a family wronged by history. The revelation sparked conversations and reflections among the residents as they grappled with the implications of this newfound truth. The revelation about Jared's family sparked deep, reflective dialogues within the community. People gathered in coffee shops, parks, and online forums discussing the implications of this newfound truth. The story of the safe and its contents became a catalyst for broader conversations about history, justice, and the importance of revisiting the past with a critical eye. The acknowledgement of the wrongful accusation against Jared's family initiated a process of communal healing. It was a poignant reminder of the power of truth to mend old wounds. The community began to see the construction site not just as a physical space, but as a symbol of reconciliation and the rectification of historical wrongs. With a newfound sense of purpose, construction at the site resumed. The crew, now deeply connected to the story unearthed from the safe, worked with a renewed commitment. This wasn't just another building. It was a monument to history, to justice, and to the resilience of truth. Plans were made to incorporate a tribute to the historical event at the construction site. This tribute was envisioned as a way to honor the past, educate the public, and celebrate the role the construction crew had played in bringing a hidden truth to light. It was a testament to the enduring impact of their discovery. The story of the construction crew, the ancient safe, and Jared's close family closed emphasizes the lasting importance of uncovering and acknowledging historical truths. It stood as a powerful reminder that history is not just a record of the past, but a living, breathing narrative that continues to shape our present and future. Do you like this touching and surprising story? If so, we invite you to leave us a comment expressing your opinion. If you want to continue enjoying inspiring stories like this one, subscribe to our channel, or check out the other videos shown at the bottom of the screen. Thank you for your cooperation.